next panelist is Cynthia Jurs. Cynthia is a teacher of engaged Buddhism. She received Dharmacharya transmission from Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh in 1994. She guides the Open Way Sangha, teaching and leading groups in meditation and sacred activism. She directs the nonprofit Alliance for the Earth and is the founder of the Earth Treasure Vase Global Healing Project, through which she has traveled the world connecting activists and elders for over 20 years in a practice to bring healing, protection, and renewal to the earth. Her documentary films can be seen at earthtreasurevase.org and prayerintoaction.com. Thank you, Cindy. Will you talk, please?
Take this. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's such an honor to sit here with these beautiful people and all of you. Oh. So numbers motivated me a long time ago too, although it's not my area. But when I learned that the half-life of radioactive substances was 250,000 years, or 10,000 generations. 10,000 generations. It kind of blew my mind. And I didn't know how to respond to that. At the time, this was over 20 years ago, we were here in New Mexico. Probably many of you remember dealing with the WHIP issue, the Waste Isolation Pilot Plant in southern New Mexico in the Carlsbad Caverns, that many of us were alarmed about and got involved in trying to stop, unsuccessfully. And I was, had already encountered Thich Nhat Hanh as my teacher, the whole practice of engaged Buddhism, which asks us to engage our practice of loving kindness and compassion and awakening for the benefit of all beings. And I always felt like my refuge was the earth, the whole earth, the interconnected web of life that is so beautiful and such an embodiment of awakening, enlightenment. It's all there in the web of life. It's so moving to open to that. So that's really, for me, the Buddha. The Dharma and the Sangha, actually. The three jewels are all embodied in the earth herself. And I had also already encountered the teachings and work of Joanna Macy, who I hope you all know who she is. Back then, Joanna had birthed this notion of nuclear guardianship in facing, as a great practitioner that she is, the fact of the poison fire, or the longevity of these powerful substances that have been released upon the earth, that we need to take responsibility for their presence among us. And that doesn't mean just for our lifetimes or for the next 100 years. It means for the next, and it doesn't even mean for the next 7 generations. It means for the next 10,000 generations. And she devised this notion of nuclear guardianship that asks us to take responsibility for the long term and to not cover it up and put it out of sight and out of mind, but to keep the story alive of what we created and what the legacy is forever. And to ask ourselves, what would it take to protect the earth and all life from these substances? So I went to Nepal with that question in my mind and had the opportunity to meet an old wise man in the cave, which was quite a journey. And I asked him, what can we do to bring healing and protection to the earth? He gave me a practice that took me a long time to come to terms with, but it's a practice of making offerings into little clay vessels that are called earth treasure vases, and burying them in places that are in need of healing and protection. This practice has taken me and others all over the world to every continent where healing and protection is called for. And we have partnered with indigenous elders and young activists and communities in all of the ways that healing and protection are needed in the world. And the center of this whole mandala is Los Alamos, for me. It's where this practice for me began, and it's maybe where it ends. It's ground zero for the future of life on Earth from at least one point of view. And so I feel that the time is now. You know, Thich Nhat Hanh and so many great Buddhist teachers talk about entering the present moment. This is where life happens. It's not in the past and it's not in the future. It's right here, right now. And we're living at an amazing time, a time of great opportunity. One of my most powerful lessons in all of this came from the women in Liberia, where we took a treasure vase a few years ago, West African country built by freed American slaves. And the women got so tired of several decades long civil war that they finally went out on the streets and demonstrated their sense that enough was enough. Christian and Muslim women who normally don't have anything to do with each other came together and started praying and fasting and singing and dancing, as they do in Africa. And they bore witness to that war. And they told their husbands and their sons and their leaders, no more food, no more laundry, no more house cleaning, no more sex. Enough is enough. And they stayed out there in the public eye, day after day, week after week, month after month, until it was over. And it didn't end. They ended it in that way. And they started every day with prayer, and they kept those prayers going. And then when the war ended, they elected the first woman president in Africa. And they re-elected her. And you probably know the story. I hope you do. So I have been very inspired by these women and feel that in many ways, it's time for women to come forward and to tell a new story, to embody a new story, to say enough of this. We've gone too far. This is it. We really can't go any further. It's completely unsustainable where we've arrived. And so surely there are some wonderful solutions. And instead of continuing to engage in blame and if only, why don't we move on and come together and write a new story and use our creativity to deal with the problem, clean up the mess. You know, I think it's time as an organizing principle and as activists to come up with a new organizing principle, which is we're all in this together. We're all in this together. So let's work together to do what has to be done to clean up our mess and to create a future, a more beautiful world that is not only possible, but is actually right here, right now. It's not out there. And I think if we each and every one of us You know, in Buddhism, we meditate. And meditation is all about just stopping for a few minutes, coming back to our breath, taking a few breaths, letting everything just come to rest. And in that place of calm that happens when we do that, then anything is possible. And there's enough of a break in the old, this chatter stuff, that some clarity can naturally arise, and we can see a way forward that is not conditioned by the same old story. So I would like to invite everyone, all of us, every single person here and yet to be, to recognize the moment that we're living in, to arrive at our full presence and ask, what is my gift? As the Joanna Macy called these treasure vases, these holy vessels, you know, to be each of us a holy vessel that is an offering as we give our best for the planet and for life. So take a moment every day to be with that question and to allow it to reveal itself. It will be revealed in surprising ways. And I think miracles are possible. They happen all the time when we stop long enough to allow for them and to recognize them when they happen. And then to feed that and cultivate that. Now that's the practice. That's the opportunity. So us women, too, let's take some inspiration from the women in Liberia and turn this situation around. Thank you.